Hi, my name is Veronique. Today I'd like to share with you a sequence that I find really good for the legs. Sometimes I just don't feel my legs fully. They feel a little bit weak, and this sequence is amazing. It helps me to feel toner and stronger. It's a sequence that is inspired by another sequence by Jeanne Heileman, and it's really amazing. To do this sequence, if you have a belt, that might be useful, a soft belt, a yoga belt, or any textile one. And also, you might need some blocks or some books to support you. But we're going to focus actually on the feet, the toes and the ankles, so anybody can do it. And we'll start with some gentle warm-up. So I'm going to sit sideways so you can see my feet. And we're going to start with toes bending, so keeping your legs straight and the feet hip-width apart. Just bend your toes away from your face and then inhale towards the face. Exhale away. Inhale to the face. And notice how easy or difficult it is for you to do this. Notice as well if there is any difference between one side and the other. I definitely can notice the difference on the left side, which is less flexible. And now we're going to bend the whole ankles, so pointing the feet, the toes away from the face and inhaling towards the face. Exhaling, inhaling. We just do that very slowly, mindfully, and notice any sensation again in the joints. Now bringing the feet wider apart, we're going to bring the big toes together, touching, and then make circles outside 5 times, and then next time the big toes touch, we change direction. And that should be 5 times. So we can now come on all 4 or the knees and sitting on the heels. For the next asana, I'm going to show different variations depending on how flexible your toes are. So we'll start with the easiest. And the easiest is to use some support. So we're going to place these blocks between the feet and then sitting on the feet, but tucking the toes under. So we are pressing on the toes, but not too much because we are actually supporting the hips. So the weight of the body is not fully pressing against the toes. But for some people, that's already quite challenging. So that's an option. Other option is to just remove the blocks. Bring the feet closer together and then sit on your heels. And then you have the whole weight of the body pressing on the toes. The problem with this is that your feet, the heels might slide apart. So one way to prevent that is to use the belt. So you can make a little loop, not too tight. And then you place your ankles in this loop like this. So make it tight but not too tight, and then tucking your toes under, and sit back. And that will help you to sit directly on your toes and to put pressure on your toes. And we are going to stay in this pose for about a minute. And because it is challenging, it helps a lot to focus your attention on your breath. And you might feel maybe one side is more tender than the other. Just observe, just notice what's happening in your feet, in your toes. And for today, we'll stop now, otherwise you can practice and stay a bit longer in the pose if you want. And now to relieve the pressure, come on all four, and you can tap your toes on the floor or shake them, move them a little bit. If you are sitting on the blocks, remove them and then bring the top of the feet flat on the mat and sit on your heels. If that is really too tender on the front of the feet, then you can place a blanket or a towel underneath just to protect the top of the feet. Otherwise, stay as well in the pose for about the same length of time. Usually after the previous pose, this actually feels quite nice or nicer. And you might feel already some warmth in your feet. I really have started to practice this very, very often because I find it amazingly helpful. It's also good if you are running, and it helps with balance in general as well because your feet are stronger. That should be about a minute. So we can come on all four, and again tapping the feet or moving the toes, and we can release, remove the belt. And we now come sitting, so you can sit first sideways and then come cross-legged. For the next practice, which is actually more of a kind of massage or manipulation. So we're going to lift the left leg. I like to place the left arm under the left leg and use the hand to hold the ankle. And then we're going to slide the fingers between the toes. I know that some people actually don't really like to touch their toes, but if you don't mind, try that. It's really great. So once your fingers are really between your toes, spread the fingers apart. So obviously you are spreading as well the toes, and then squeeze them together. Ooh, you might feel some tenderness there. Spread them apart, squeeze them, and again. So by doing this, we are actually stimulating all the 6 meridians in the lower body that start between the toes. Keeping the fingers squeezed around the toes, move the foot in one direction, flexing and pointing. Do that a few times, squeezing still. Come back to center, spread the fingers and release. And next we're going to press the fingertips between the toes, at the base of the toes. So if you have fingernails, obviously that's harder, so use just the fingertips and press down between the toes. This is as well very often quite tender, but again we are stimulating so many meridians there. It's worth it. So at the beginning you might just do it for a few seconds and then you can slowly increase the length of time. And again, slide your fingers between the toes, squeeze, spread and let go. And we're going to change side, using the right arm to lift the leg and hold the right ankle, and then we're sliding the fingers between the toes. Spreading the fingers apart, squeezing them, spreading, squeezing. One more time. And squeezing them, moving the foot in one direction and the other. Spreading and releasing, and again using the fingertips to press the base of the toes, really pressing down between the toes, even if it's tender, as long as it's not really painful. And keep doing it, it will get easier. And with the fingers between the toes, spreading the fingers apart and releasing. So you should feel some energy, some warmth in your toes and fingers. And we just, for a few moments, we just as well extend the legs and again move the toes freely, as if you are creating a wave with your toes. Spread them apart, squeeze them, move the ankles one way, the other way, just moving the energy in your feet. And that's it for this sequence. It doesn't take too long, but as I said, I really recommend this sequence if you have any issues with your legs, any sensation that your legs are not strong, or if you feel, oh, I can't really feel my legs properly. That helps, I'm sure. Thank you for joining me. I wish you a wonderful day. Namaste.